Hey everybody, we're back. Welcome to the Power of Mediocrity.
Back.
Kate Tim here.
Episode 9.
So close to episode 10.
Niner.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We hope you've enjoyed our interviews recently. We've got some cool ones coming up still.
Exciting. Oh, it's been fun doing interviews.
Yeah, we hope you like them. We know they're a little bit long, but it's a podcast, so, deal with it. You can pause.
You can pause.
Pause
True.
and reestablish yourself.
Yeah. So here we are, back in action.
That's right.
Solo today. Just me and you.
That's right. Solo. L-O-W.
Solo. Are you done making fun of me?
Yeah, no, probably not.
Lame. You're always making fun of me. So mean.
So, Catherine, what are we getting into today?
What are we talking about in episode 9?
So, this past week, we've had a few conversations with people that have led us to want to talk about today's topic, which is about perfectionism.
Yeah.
And really not, maybe, I don't even know if that's the right word, because there's probably like a legit definition for what perfectionism means. And that might not be what we're actually talking about. But what we're talking about is the people's need to pursue perfectionism.
Or just letting go of trying to attain perfection.
Yeah.
Right? But I think it's been interesting because people either like really are into the name of our podcast and they think like immediately like that's super like they're like, yes, that's really intriguing. I get it.
Mediocrity.
Or they are super offended by the name of our podcast.
They take it offensively.
Yeah, and they're very like, well, I'm not mediocre. You're not mediocre.
Yeah. Why would you ever want to be mediocre?
Like
Mediocre
what?
is the death of some...
Yeah.
I've seen like so kinds of...
The killer.
It's the killer. It's the mind killer.
The mind killer. I think that was actually a quote from recently.
Mind
The
killer.
mind killer. Maybe that should be like our tagline. The power of mediocrity. The mind killer.
Yeah, we could make a movie too. Power of Mediocrity presents a very mediocre movie about the mind killer.
So what is it about the word mediocre that has such a... I mean, I get it, right? Like people, when you say mediocre, that means... We should have like Googled the exact definition. I should have my phone, but we don't.
Yeah, we're not that smart.
We're phoneless. So I know that the actual term of mediocre means, that you're really kind of average. You're not that great.
Yeah, no, you're right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Whatever. So, but where we're coming from with it is the positive spin on it, right? Like, it's okay that you're not that great,
Right.
that you're right in the middle, that you're average.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's just our generation. Maybe you think it's a generational thing. I guess I don't know.
I don't know.
But I think we were all brought up with this sort of notion. At least, we're talking, I guess, really our clientele here or whatever. Clientele. You're our clients.
Our listeners.
Our listeners are potential, the people that I think can relate to this podcast, probably somewhere between 25 and 45 or something.
Yeah, it's probably more like 30s, really.
Yeah, and really just 30s.
If you got like real specific.
Yeah. And so we grew up in an era where we were all considered special, Everybody's special.
Really?
I don't think.
No, I feel like that's like the generation now.
I don't know. I think we got it too. We liked.
Well, I mean, I was.
So
I was special.
I think if you were born in the 80s and even like late 70s, we're kind of in a weird bunch. Early 80s, late 70s, because we don't really fit in a group very well.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think we get a little bit of both sides of the world. So I think that we battle with that a little bit, though. Like there's sort of this, you can be anything you want to be, but you're really great, and all these kind of things. So you always think you need to be perfect at something, I don't know. I'm like spitballing here. Maybe
Yeah.
it's not that interesting.
I don't know. I mean, like I said, I read that. I think I was listening to a podcast recently, and I can't remember where I got it from because I'm listening to so many of them.
We're very informative here.
Yes, we're super informative.
Sourced.
We're totally mediocre. So, but I was talking to you about this, about how, we used to live in like small tribes, right? 150, 200 people. And you were pretty much going to be good at something compared to everybody else. Yeah. But now we have like this huge...
Kate the bridge maker.
Right. The bridge maker. That would have been me. So I'm really good at making bridges, right? And you were really good at, I don't know, killing squirrels. So, but now we have this social media where you can always find somebody that's better than you. So there's this weird need to always, like, that we have to be perfect. I mean, and there's like, even like look at Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, there's filters and you can make yourself look better and you can make your pictures like, edit your pictures and send out. There's everywhere we look, there's a need to be perfect, a desire to be perfect.
So this is where I have a huge problem.
Uh-oh.
Because what the hell is perfect?
Yeah, no, for sure. And that definitely begs the question, what is perfection? And is it even attainable? I mean, no, I don't think it is. It
doesn't even mean anything. What does it mean? I mean, you can apply it to things like, I'm going to draw a perfect circle. I guess. Good band. But even then, like, maybe it's perfect on Earth.
Yeah.
Another dimension or something, it might not apply. I think when we were saying like 2 + 2 = 4, that's sort of like a perfect equation, maybe in a way. But in certain parts of math, it doesn't ring true.
Right.
So it's not always true. So it's not even that. So here you are, like you're chasing a target doesn't even exist.
Well, and if you look at examples of what we think is perfect, are those perfect examples perfect by the person who created it? Probably not. Like I came up with the example of the Sistine Chapel. Most people would say it's like brilliant, beautiful, perfection, whatever. Would, Michelangelo think it was perfect?
Well, and then, even like that's a huge painting.
Yeah.
Like, if I know anything about artists, there might be like a couple faces he really liked, and then some of them that were like just didn't come out right, and he could never get it right. And like, so is it perfect as a whole piece, or is it like does it mean every part of it has to be perfect, or maybe like I don't know, the perception or whatever is really weird in some spot because there's a curve in the thing. So if you see it from one angle, it looks like something that's not,
Yeah.
So it's not even perfect from any perspective, and then same like, who is a perfect musician or something, or a perfect architect or a perfect...
Well, and furthermore, who does it benefit to say that we need to achieve this abstract goal?
Yeah.
Like, who does it benefit? Does it benefit society? Does it benefit me? Does it benefit you? Does it benefit anybody?
Yeah, I mean, what we were talking too is like, well, even if you were, let's say you were the most perfect, I don't know.
Building bridges.
The perfect bridge builder, but you didn't have any clients and you never actually built a bridge. Maybe you had the most perfect design that you could ever have, but you never actually did. You figured out every angle.
Why didn't you do it? Because you were afraid to do it?
Oh, but
nobody wanted to hire you.
But you had a perfect design.
Maybe you just think you're perfect and you're really actually not.
Yeah, and by whose comparison or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so a couple conversations that came up this week, via social media and just friends and stuff we were talking to, that a friend of mine was talking. He said he really liked the idea of what we were doing, but that like perfectionism is probably still a decent goal to have. Like you should, maybe you won't get it, but it's still a good goal. And I'm like, but is it? I don't think it is a good goal. And we have a solution to this. We'll get to it. You're gonna have to hold on. But,
well, I think this idea. I mean, we, from a personal story from this week that happened to us, this idea was just really, for instance, our oldest is in first grade. And she's a pretty good reader. I think she's good for first grade. She's reading little chapter books and not just good, but she's made improvements.
Huge improvement this year.
Like huge improvement, and not even just improvement, but she actually enjoys to read now.
Yeah, so we
huge.
started the year where it was like she just didn't want to read.
She cried. She hated it.
She'd flip out.
Yeah, and now she'll sit down at night and she'll read a chapter book with me.
Yeah,
like I'll read a page.
You don't have to twist her arm or anything.
Yeah, she's just excited to read it. So they just did their updated standardized testing at school, and I got a call from her teacher. And so she used the word River's doing phenomenally in school with reading.
Yeah.
She's doing very well, but on a timed test, she was off by 1%. The standardized or the benchmark was 94% for a first grader to do a timed reading test.
94%.
94. Like, I'm sorry, but that's like mind-blowing to me.
We didn't get any details, but I mean, unless they were doing 100 questions or something.
Yeah, I just don't know how the test is.
If there was 50 questions, that means she got 2 out of 50 wrong or something, you know? Like,
well, it probably is like how many words. That's probably what it is. How many words did she get correct in that?
Was there 100 words?
Right,
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I didn't go into it all. And the fact of the matter is we weren't really upset. We're certainly not upset with River. We're not upset at the
yeah. So, so instead of getting 94%, she got 93%.
Yeah.
Which meant she didn't pass, which meant she has to go into like a special reading group.
Yeah.
Because she was reading club because she's 1% off. 1%.
Apparently, all the kids really like reading club, and I'm glad that the teachers have made it a positive experience. And I'm like, go teachers! I think teachers are amazing, and I would imagine that it's very difficult to have to teach in the subsetting of these testing like this. But my point is, are we setting River up for thinking that she has to achieve? Like, the end goal is perfect,
right?
100% perfection. And if you're, instead of saying, you are like looking at it from a point of view, well, in the beginning of the year, you didn't even enjoy reading and you didn't even want to try, but you tried, and look how well you're reading now.
Yeah. Well,
seems.
Yeah. Well, and I she's had spelling tests and stuff like that too, and there was one recently she got 6 out of 10 on it. And it just drove me crazy because it was like
she
missed cute
phonetic, or is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, it was cute, and I don't remember
jump.
Anyway, she phonetically she wrote them out exactly like you would expect, like based on like if you didn't have experience with the word, you would have.
Yeah, you would have gotten it right.
That would have been one of the ways you would have considered spelling it. Yeah. And you would have, you would have read it. Like, I would read it and know what she meant.
Yeah.
But, English is dumb, so it has all these, like, weird things you have to memorize.
Rules.
Yeah, and so instead of, like, and I get that she was wrong on them, but there wasn't, like, a note like, okay, hey, I get where you're coming from. This makes sense why you thought this, but unfortunately English is stupid and you just have to know that this is how it's spelled instead.
I understand that too, but I think for me it was more...
But that stuff drives me crazy because you have a teaching moment there, and... Well,
I really like her teacher. I imagine that her teacher did have a teaching moment with it, but she still was wrong.
Yeah, it's just dumb. Anyway,
the point is... I think from a very young age in our society, we teach that perfection is the goal.
Yeah.
I don't think that we teach goal-oriented. I think we actually teach that we need to be perfect.
Right, and whatever that means. That's the question. Is perfect perfect is abstract, right? And really, when you start delving into it and thinking about it, it doesn't exist. It's meaningless. Well, it's just
There's nothing that's perfect.
You go to the best college in the world and the best schools and you ace it all, and then somebody got barely past the same thing at a community college. That doesn't mean that the person who got straight A's at Harvard or whatever is actually better, like engineer or whatever. There's nothing that maybe they're a better test taker. But what's the end goal? The end goal is to become a great engineer. and one may be way better than the other. And I've seen this so many times. So it's just weird that here again, we have the goal of perfection in like acing things and all that stuff, but it doesn't mean you're actually any good at any of it.
Right.
So what's the solution, or what else do we have here? Can we delay the solution a little longer?
Well, I think part that we were talking about is that, what is this desire in our society to be perfect? Like where does this come from? I mean, is it fear driven? I feel like it's fear driven.
Yeah.
Like we're not good enough. Like we're constantly comparing ourselves to others. Right. We're constantly thinking that we need to look a certain way, be a certain way, get 100% on tests, which is totally lame. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, you know what I mean? There's always this desire
there's all these things. And like you said,
else.
We didn't even really talk about this, but now that you brought it up, yeah, the way we look at a magazine or whatever. People still look at magazines. I don't think they do. Instagram's like the new magazine. You go to Instagram or you watch a movie or something, and then you see this perfect looking person.
Right. For instance, Kristen Bell has talked about this before. Yeah. And so has, like Elizabeth, I'm trying to think who the other one from Handmaid's Tale. Yeah. Can't remember. Elizabeth Moss, maybe? I don't know. Anyway, they will both be on Instagram, and they're like, yeah, like this picture is beautiful. I'm like, it took me 5 hours to look like that.
Yeah, sure. And they airbrushed it.
Yeah. And she's like, this is not what I normally look like.
My belly looks nothing like that. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's, but yet we still do it, right? We still want to see these people elevated. All these
superhero movies, there's always like the shirtless scene when the guy takes it, and he's like ripped. And then
Thor?
Yeah, if you look into it, yeah, exactly. You look into it.
Because it was really painful to watch Thor.
You look at it, and you look into how they got to that, and they actually work out. It's like they know 6 months in advance. For one day, for 1 hour, they're going to take their shirt off. And like, they prep and they work with a trainer for 6 months to get to that one moment. And about 50 seconds after this thing's over, they're stuffing their face with like Twinkies and stuff, and they don't look
Twinkies.
They don't even look like that.
I don't buy it. Thor was not eating Twinkies after he took that shot.
Yeah.
It wasn't happening.
So they don't look anything like that moments later. It's all for that one shot, and they know it's coming. And then so people will look at it and they think, oh, I need to look like that all the time. Those guys don't look anything like that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think at the end of the day,
it's a facade.
Right, for sure. You brought up a good question. It was when we were talking about this before we started. So does striving for perfection hold you up from what you want out of life?
Right.
100% it does. It is a facade. Perfection is a lie. It's this facade that the perfect house, the perfect relationship, the perfect kids, the perfect car, your forever home, you're this, you're that. We live by these set of rules that we've established as children, right? Yeah. Really. Like, we're raised to think like this one specific way. Like, well, when you grow up, you need to, all through school, you need to get 100% on all your tests, and you need to, score perfectly on all your standardized testing, and you need to score this on your ACTs and SATs. Do they even do those anymore? And you need to, go to college, to the perfect college. Right. You need to get the perfect degree, the perfect job. I mean, literally, we are surrounded by a nation, by a society that's obsessed with achieving perfection.
So we at the Power of Mediocrity think this is extremely unhealthy practice.
Yes, absolutely. It is an unhealthy practice. I mean, I see it in our daughter who at first grade already is having testing anxiety. Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, oh, what are you going to suggest though? If I'm not going perfect, then what am I going to do? I'm going to just strive for mediocrity? Well, no, that's not where we're going at all.
And I think if any of the listeners out there are still listening and think that, because I would wonder if people are listening and still think that, but it's cool, whatever. So for the people that are listening,
or new people,
yeah, absolutely, and are considering, well, what's your point then? Why just try to be mediocre? Like, our point is, it's okay to start somewhere, right? Like, you don't have to be perfect from this. Like, there is no such thing as perfect. You can't strive to be perfect because perfect doesn't exist. And you have to start somewhere. That's what makes you happy. Living in like the day-to-day moment of what do I want out of my life, right?
Right. And again, the power of mediocrity is not about trying to strive to be mediocre. It's about accepting the fact that you are mediocre.
Yeah. And I mean, or furthermore, it's okay to be human,
You're just
right?
human.
Like, I mean, really, that's what it means. Like,
Right.
I don't think we're trying to downplay that somebody's like crappy at doing something. That's not what we're saying. Or you're, oh my God, why are you even trying?
Mediocre wouldn't be crappy. You're right in the middle.
But anyway, so what does that mean? So how do you get what you want out of life?
So this isn't... We suggest, instead of thinking about, well, I want to be a perfect something. Like, say... I know you talk about music a lot, but that's what I know. So that's what I'm going to say. Say you want to be the perfect musician, which you can't even define. That's just not... It's not even a useful goal. It doesn't help you get anywhere. I think your goals change now. The goal is, I would love to be, maybe it's, I want to be good enough to be in the New York Philharmonic or something, that's like an actual goal. So then you have to say, all right, well, what would it really take to be in the New York Philharmonic? Well, I play guitar. Well, they don't even have guitar.
So you're out. Next.
Well, no. Then you have to say, well, if it's really my goal, then I need to pick an instrument that's part of the New York Philharmonic, or whatever. And then you'd have to change your goal to that. Maybe your goal is I want to play Madison Square Garden or something. Or maybe your goal is I want to make an album. Not to be perfect, but but to actually do it. Or okay, maybe you say, well, I want an album that's good enough to be played on the radio. So then your goal is to get the album on the radio. Or maybe you want to make a piece of art that's shown in a museum. These are different. This isn't about being perfect. This is about, okay, so now you've established a goal. It's a specific goal. And
look at Jared last week. He said his goal was he knew how expensive the knives were. And he's like, I want to be able to make these myself.
Yeah, well, I want one of these knives.
I want one of these knives. I'm going to learn how to make it.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing.
Exactly.
Same with some of the stuff that I've been selling. Well, I don't really want to go spend the money to do it. But I could totally learn how to make it.
Sure.
And it actually ends up being really fun.
Right. So
it's goal. I definitely feel like that's a big
you got to switch to goals. And I think they have to be specific. Because another problem with the perfectionism is that it's way too generic. Not only does it not exist, but it's so fluffy. It doesn't have perfect. What does that even mean? How do you define it? Is every aspect of everything you do has to be perfect in some sense, whatever that is? Yeah. It's so generic. It has no end goal, and you'll never do anything. I want to be the perfect cook. Well, what would that even mean? Is a great Indian cook who can't cook any French food not great? They're not, or vice versa.
Well, I'm like really into watching this podcast or this YouTube channel right now, and it's this RV family. And so their first season when they went out, they've been on the road now for a year and a half. They were only planning on going for 6 months, and they had never even camped. They had never had an RV. They didn't know anything about it. They'd never made a YouTube channel, a video. They'd never recorded anything. And their goal was just to go out, and they thought, worst case scenario, we document 6 months of our lives. But it was the same thing. They made a goal and said, well, we don't really know how to do it, but we should try.
Yeah. And then they said, and I've seen some of their videos are really high quality.
Yeah.
But they started without knowing how to do any of it. So they had a specific goal, though. It actually became attainable because they said, okay, we want to travel. So they already made that decision.
Yeah. And they said for 6 months.
6 months. But they also said, I'm sure, we want to make the best quality videos that we can. And we don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
So then they probably made a bunch in the beginning that weren't very good. And then they just started learning more. And then they could ask questions. So once they had a goal, they could say, okay, well, hey, we made this video. What do you guys think? Oh, the audio is not good enough. Okay, well, maybe we need to get a new mic.
They also suggest too not getting overwhelmed in all of the kind kind of fluff that goes along with it. Like, just start somewhere.
Yeah.
Buy the RV that you can pull for the money that you can buy.
Yeah.
Buy the camera that's good enough for you that you can afford. Like, start somewhere.
Yeah.
And just learn from there, and then you figure out what.
Yeah,
figure out what you want. And
then I'm sure they're just like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? And then
and now he has a drone. They have a drone, and they're like taking beautiful pictures and movies.
Sure.
It's really great, kind of nuts. But that's my example.
Sure.
It's my non-music example.
That's right. We offer 2 sides, country and western.
Wow. But it's getting funny up in here.
Nah.
Nope, it's not. But yeah, so goal oriented. I think that's life changing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And you don't have to set crazy goals, right? I mean, you can just start.
I mean, you could have your big goal or whatever, but if you actually have a goal, I think, then you have a target, and then you can work towards it.
I think you need to write goals down every day too. Like, I think you need to like just have things you want to do. Like, especially like starting a business, or, you know, like in my case, I have to like write down like things that I need to achieve every day. Otherwise, I think it gets a little hard to keep it all.
Well, I think like writing the book that I wrote, at least to get the first draft done, I just said, I said, I will write this every night without compromise. There's no, you know, and even if I'm too tired, or if I'm too busy, or if it's too late and I have to get up soon or whatever, I didn't let myself, because there was times I didn't get to start till 11:30 and I wake up at 5:30. But I said, I'm going to write a chapter every night. You know, and I think that actually gives you something to attain. Mm-hmm. It's not fluffy. I didn't say I'm going to write the perfect book.
Right.
Because I don't even know how would you do that. Because you would never start.
And I think too, like, interchangeable with perfect goes along with the idea that I'm not good enough. Yeah. Well, I couldn't do that because I'm not good enough. And the phrase I'm not good enough is basically like interchangeable with perfect.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, because people might not always try to, in their mind, think that they're trying to achieve perfection, but they think that they can't achieve it because they're not good enough.
Right.
And you have to let that phrase go. It just doesn't serve you.
Sure. Yeah, and I think anyone you like hold highly and you think that they're the greatest or whatever, like when you start to get to know these people, or you see them do interviews, or you hear about them, then you realize that they certainly don't think of themselves that way. Like I saw Chris Potter is one of the most famous sax players in the world right now in jazz. And there was an interview with him from the guy from NYU, the director of jazz there. And he was like, I got a call from you the other day, and you were like, hey, can I get a practice room key so I can come practice? And he was like, you're Chris Potter. Do you really need to practice? You know, the guy practices every day. He practices. Yeah. He's still, you know, he's in his, I think he's probably 50s now. Still practices every day. He's still working on stuff. And then you ask him, like, what, you think you need to work on stuff? And he's like, yeah. Like, I got so much stuff to work on. Like, it's like an endless amount of things to work on. So, you know, you got to keep pushing through. You know, these people don't think any of those things. They just do it.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's right on. I think letting go of the idea that you're not good enough is super powerful.
So pick a goal.
Yeah.
That's what we want you to do this week. Pick a goal. And I think, yes, you can pick your like daily goals, and I think that's good to do too. But what's your goal like a year from now or 6 months from now? You know, pick that goal and adjust your life to make that goal happen. It could be anything. Maybe it's losing weight. Maybe you want to have a 6-pack in 6 months. 6-pack in 6 months. That's a good goal, right? For whatever. Maybe it's not a good goal. It's probably not healthy. But say that's.
It might be if you're not that.
Yeah. Say it's your goal. Then you just make everything in your life geared towards that goal. I mean, it doesn't mean that you obsess over it necessarily, but that's helpful. You just make decisions that apply to that goal. It's not about having the perfect body then. It's about actually like having 6 visible things on there. But you might decide, you know, or whatever. Or maybe you want to write a book. So you give yourself a goal. And in 6 months, I'm going to write a book.
Like your goal needs to be finishing your book.
Yeah, I've edited it twice. I need to edit it a few more times and move on from there and get some permission for a few parts. But yeah, I need to get it done.
Taking action. I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
All right.
I feel like that is like the premise of what this is all about. You are good enough. Take action. Get what you want out of life.
Right.
Perfection is not real.
To look at books, right? How many revisions of books do you get?
Yeah.
I mean, gosh.
I mean, and you still find errors in books.
Yeah.
I bought that book for River the other day, and there was an error in there, and I was like, oh,
Right, and they have professional editing teams on a lot of these things helping. Or in textbooks and stuff, you have the 12th revision of a book that you're on, because they do find errors in them.
Well, and with textbooks, I'm sure things evolve a bit.
Not always. Not in a lot of stuff. There's also the need to just generate more income.
True.
But
yeah. So goals. Okay. So what's your goal this week, Mirth?
I don't know.
What are you doing?
I have no idea. Do you have a goal?
Lame. Yeah, I want to I have some goals with my business that I need to achieve. You want specifics?
I don't know. Do you have specifics in your head? You don't have to give us some specifics.
No, just some generalized. I have some house cleaning items I need to do with my website, and then I'm working on a newsletter to do an official launch. So I'm actually looking for some free clients.
Yeah. So
free life coaching.
Yeah, let Kate know you want to talk with her.
Yeah, or let somebody else know. It's part of my training. I'm going to offer a few people some free sessions. So
right.
I think that'd be good. I'm excited. That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, contact Kate.
I mean, I feel like that is such a proof of concept for what we're talking about here, right? I'm not going to be perfect because it doesn't exist. But I'm still, we're putting it out there.
Here's the thing. Wouldn't it be awesome? People might be weird about the life coach thing, but here's the deal. Wouldn't it be awesome that you have these ideas that are going through your head because, you're human and you're creative and all these other things. And you try to talk to your husband or your friends or whatever, and it's always just, you always get this weird response from them, right? You tell your mom about something and she's like, oh, you're the greatest or whatever, or maybe she hates you and you're the worst. Whatever it is, it's hard to get a real, you can't bounce ideas off of anyone. And what are you're gonna go see a psychologist? I don't know that that's necessarily, because you're probably thinking, well, I don't need that necessarily. But wouldn't it, imagine having somebody who's dedicated to helping you achieve your goals. They win by you winning.
Yeah.
And how are you supposed to know the answers? They might be able to help you get connections that you wouldn't have had otherwise, or just the idea that you can run some ideas and get an unbiased opinion, and not just unbiased. I mean, unbiased might even be the wrong word, because they might be biased, but they're biased towards making you achieve your goals. They don't win any points if you just feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
They win points by empowering you.
By taking action.
When you
this
say...
This is from Tim, the life coach. The life coach.
That's right. The life coach.
The life coach.
That's right.
So there we go.
So I know that I would love that. I mean, you have somebody you can just run ideas across, and they can just be like, okay. I see you got all these things. Let's organize them. Let's help you get this together. And that's why you hire a life coach. Because how are you can't know everything, and you can't. Living in your head doesn't always provide the best, anything. We're really tough critics on ourselves. So this is an unlocking potential right here. So I implore you to contact Kate, or if you're in this position, I think it can be very powerful.
Well, thanks, babe. Thanks, life coach.
Yeah. All right, we should probably
wrap it up.
Yeah, wrap it up. We hear tumbling and stumbling going on upstairs.
And dogs running around.
Yeah.
And children.
Children screaming and all those other good things.
Just kidding.
So back to reality.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us.
To reality. What is in that song?
Something like that.
Yeah, I'll stop there. Anyway, okay, so get your goals down.
Yeah, we want to hear your goals. Let us know.
Yeah. And then make sure you go and check us out on our blog.
Yeah, I've been trying to revamp the blog a little bit. I think we have about 50 articles on there now.
Yeah. And seriously, it's so helpful when you go on iTunes and give us ratings.
Yeah.
Comments.
And you share our podcast. It really helps a lot.
And check us out on Facebook, Power of Mediocrity.
Yeah.
So
we're also on Twitter. I think we're going to eventually get on YouTube and other social medias.
So do it.
We could make like a Snapchat page that just shows like pictures of the wall.
The wall. That sounds intriguing, babe.
Yeah.
That sounds super exciting. Everybody's gonna, wow, did you see this wall?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Hey, the wall changed.
The wall changed. Wow, cool. No, not cool.
All right.
Anyway. All right, well, until next time, guys. See you soon.
Bye-bye.